Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's class, we are going to discuss the chapter The Medicine Bag by Virginia Driving Hawk Sneve. In this video, we will clearly explain all the main points of this chapter in a simple and exam-oriented way. So, let's begin. This story deals with the identity, tradition, and emotional journey of a boy who learns to respect his cultural heritage through his grandfather. Okay, let's move to the first point. The story begins with Martin and his family visiting his 86-year-old great grandfather every summer. Note down this point: 86-year-old great grandfather every summer. Grandpa lives on the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota where the Sioux tribe lives. So, this is the setting and background of the story. Okay. Martin's family, however, lives in Iowa. This difference in place also shows the difference between traditional Native American life and modern American life. Next point is Martin's attitude and fear. Martin often tells his friends stories about his grandfather, but these stories are influenced by what he has seen in movies and television. He shows them zoo articles but never shows them pictures of his grandfather. This is because grandpa lives in a poor house and looks very old. Martin feels embarrassed and fears that the truth about his grandfather will be revealed. Now let's see Grandpa's arrival. One day, Grandpa unexpectedly travels alone from South Dakota to Iowa. Martin sees him walking down the street in traditional clothes, which makes him feel embarrassed. Note down this. Okay, what is his reaction when he saw his grandpa? However, Martin still goes to help his grandfather and takes him home. Grandpa greets Martin in a formal way, showing that he strictly follows zoo customs. We understood that how Martin reacted once he saw his grandpa, isn't it? He got embarrassed. Now let's see how his family reacted. When Martin's mother sees grandpa, she is shocked that he traveled such a long distance alone. She does not hug him because physical affection is not considered decent in zoo culture. However, Cheryl, the youngest child in the family, that is our Martin's sister, okay, hugs grandpa happily, showing innocence and natural affection. Now let's see grandpa's condition. Grandpa collapses because he is extremely tired. Martin helps him undress and realizes how old and weak his grandfather really is. He notices a medicine bag around Grandpa's neck and also finds $100 hidden inside his boots. So, how much? $100. Okay. The doctor says that Grandpa suffered from heat stroke. Now, let's see the reason for Grandpa's visit. After recovering, Grandpa explains why he came. He says that he felt lonely after Martin's family left the reservation. With the help of a policeman and by taking a bus, he finally reached Martin Street, though he could not see the house number clearly. The family feels guilty, but Martin feels admiration for his grandfather's bravery. Now let's see the reason why his grandfather carries $100 with him. Grandpa explains that the $100 was money he had saved for his funeral. He gives it to Martin's mother so that he would not be a burden to the family. Grandpa then says that he wants to give Martin the medicine bag. Martin is shocked and frightened at the first, but he accepts it out of respect. Next point is the change that happened in Martin's attitude. Cheryl happily invites her friends to meet Grandpa, but Martin still feels embarrassed. One day, Martin's friends come to the house unexpectedly. Grandpa, dressed in his best clothes, and tells them stories. The boys are impressed, and from that day onwards, Martin begins to look at his grandfather with pride and admiration. Now, let's see the story behind the medicine bag. The next day, Grandpa tells Martin the story behind the medicine bag. He explains that the story is told only to a man and that the bag is passed only to a male heir. Grandpa speaks about his father, Iron Shell, who received the bag during a vision quest, which was a spiritual journey to find guidance in life. Next point is legacy of the medicine bag. Iron Shell found a iron piece from an old kettle which he believed was a spiritual sign. He kept it in the medicine bag as a talisman. Later, Iron Shell was sent to a boarding school and learned blacksmithing. The medicine bag was passed down to Grandpa. Since Grandpa's son died in war, Martin becomes the only male heir. Now we can see Martin's acceptance and how it ends. By now, Martin's fear of the medicine bag disappears once he understands the story behind this medicine bag. Okay, Grandpa does not force him to wear it, but asks him to keep it safe and to place sage in it when he visits the reservation. That night, Grandpa is taken to the hospital. 2 weeks later, the family is back at the reservation for Grandpa's funeral. Martin places sacred sage in the medicine bag, showing his acceptance of his cultural and spiritual identity. To conclude, the medicine bag is a short story about the journey from shame to self acceptance. It teaches us the importance of respecting our elders, understanding our roots, and valuing cultural traditions. Through his grandfather, Martin learns to embrace his true identity and heritage. This is just a small reminder. Please like this video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do subscribe. Your likes and support are a big motivation for me to continue making more videos. Now let's move to the characterization. The major characters in the story are Martin, his maternal great grandfather, Iron Shell, and the supporting characters Cheryl, father, and mother. Each character plays an important role in developing the theme of identity and tradition. First of all, let's see about Martin. Martin is the protagonist and the narrator of the story. He is a teenage boy who belongs to a mixed heritage. His father is a white American and his mother is a Native American. This mixed identity creates confusion and emotional conflict in Martin, which becomes the central focus of the story. Martin is always embarrassed by his mixed identity, but at the end of the story, we can see that his attitude changes. Martin feels embarrassed about his Native American roots. Though he loves his grandfather, he does not feel comfortable with his traditional appearance and lifestyle. To impress his friends, he tells exaggerated and glamorous stories about grandpa based on movies and television. When grandpa visits unexpectedly, Martin becomes afraid that the truth will be revealed. So he tries to keep his friends away from him. Next point is kind and loving nature of Martin. Even though Martin feels embarrassed, he is a kind and loving boy. When he sees his grandfather being troubled by dogs on the street, he immediately runs to him and helps him. He feels emotional seeing grandpa's tired and weak condition. Martin helps him walk, undresses him, puts him to the bed, and even suggests calling the doctor. He feels guilty for not realizing how old his grandfather had become, but at the same time, he feels proud of grandpa's courage. Next slide talks about 2 points. The first point is acceptance of his identity. Next is acceptance of his legacy. Let's see the first point, acceptance of his identity. At first, Martin fears the medicine bag because he believes that accepting it means accepting an identity he is not ready for. That is the reason why he always get rid of that. However, as the story progresses and Grandpa explains its meaning, Martin begins to understand its cultural and spiritual importance. Slowly, his attitude changes and he becomes ready to accept his mixed identity. Next point is acceptance of his legacy. Martin finally accepts the medicine bag with respect. After his grandfather's death, he visits the reservation and places sacred sage inside the medicine bag. This action symbolizes Martin's acceptance of his grandfather's legacy, his Native American heritage, and his emotional growth. Now, let's move to the next character, Martin's maternal great grandfather. Martin's maternal great grandfather is an 86-year-old Native American belonging to the Sioux tribe. He lives alone on the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota, also known as Joe Iron Shell. He represents the voice of tradition and cultural continuity in the story. Now let's see the physical appearance of great grandfather. Grandpa is not tall or impressive in appearance. His long gray hair hangs loose and he wears a big black hat with a feather. He dresses traditionally in a bright satin shirt and a beaded polo tie. Around his neck, he always wears a medicine bag, which is a symbol of his cultural and spiritual belief. Now, let's see the affectionate and loving nature of Grandpa. Grandpa is a loving and affectionate family member. He used to make handmade gifts for his grandchildren. He gives Cheryl a pair of moccasins and Martin a rawhide drum decorated with a painting. These gestures show his deep love and emotional bond with his family. Next point, Grandpa is also realistic and responsible. When he feels lonely after his family leaves the reservation, he decides to visit them. Realizing that his end may be near, he wants to pass on his legacy. He does not want to be a burden, so he gives the money saved for his funeral to Martin's mother and chooses the right time to fulfill his duty. Next point, Grandpa clearly understands Martin's discomfort and embarrassment. When Martin's friends visit, Grandpa dresses neatly so that he could not appear out of place. He embraces the boys with his stories and dignity. He also patiently explains the meaning of the medicine bag to Martin and does not force him to wear it, showing great wisdom and understanding. Next point, Grandpa is deeply committed to Native American traditions. He preserves his family's customs and beliefs and lives according to them. He travels for several days just to pass the medicine bag to his only male heir, Martin, ensuring that the cultural legacy continues. Next character is Iron Shell. Iron Shell does not appear directly in the story, but it plays an important role through Grandpa's narration. He is Grandpa's father and a strong believer in Native American traditions. His life and experience gives meaning to the medicine bag. And about his character trait, Ironshell was a spiritual and strong minded person. He went on a vision quest to find guidance in life. During his quest, he found a piece of iron from an old kettle, which he believed was a spiritual sign. He kept it in a leather pouch, and this incident earned him the name Iron Shell. He represents faith in culture and tradition. Next point, Cheryl, father, and mother are supporting characters. Though they are not deeply developed, they play important roles in shaping the story and supporting the central theme of respect, understanding, and the family bond. So let's see each character one by one. First one is Cheryl. Cheryl is Martin's younger sister. She is innocent, affectionate, and open minded. She happily hugs Grandpa and proudly introduces him to her friends. Cheryl represents acceptance without prejudice and embarrassment. Next character is father. Martin's father is a white American and a college teacher. Despite being from a different cultural background, he represents the traditions of his wife's family. He treats Grandpa with respect and apologizes for not inviting him earlier, showing maturity and cultural sensitivity. Next character and the last one is Mother. Martin's mother is a Native American who deeply values her heritage. She is kind and caring towards her father and feels guilty for ignoring his loneliness. She wants her children to respect Grandpa's advice and cultural values. Now, let's discuss about the themes of this chapter. First one is reality versus fiction. Second one is generational conflict. Next, importance of family history, culture, and traditions. Fourth one is cultural heritage and its importance. Fifth, identity and self acceptance. Next one is respect for elders. And the next is loneliness and old age. Responsibility and legacy is the next one. And I have added almost all the themes of this chapter. Please go through all these points. It will help you to score good marks for your 5 mark and 10 mark questions. So I hope this explanation helped you to understand this chapter clearly. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching and see you in the next class. Bye.